Since the land made its debut in 2019, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the supposed Star Wars themed land found at both Disneyland Park in California and Disney's Hollywood Studios, has been seen by many as underwhelming due to its lack of classic characters found in both the prequel and original trilogies of the franchise. Now, Disney has finally altered the once very limited timeline featured in the Star Wars lands, with the inclusion of Luke Skywalker donning his signature Jedi robes that can be seen with his appearances in Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, The Mandalorian, and The Book of Boba Fett, but some fans have found his appearance lacking. Let's talk about the debut of Luke Skywalker in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge as part of Disneyland's Season of the Force, here on That Park Place. We definitely do need to talk about some theme parks and theme park news we shall discuss because it's very, very interesting. We've had a slew of announcements today as the Season of the Force celebration kicks off at Disneyland Resort. You can see right here, March 28th through May 11th, 2025. And if we check today's date, well, it is the official kickoff. And what did they start out this amazing day talking about? Well, it's your favorite Luke Skywalker. Is who they started talking about. He will be officially making appearances starting today, and we actually have some video of that. But Star Wars, the official Twitter account that is, was kind enough to reveal video of their own. This is the Luke Skywalker that will be meeting and greeting with people in the parks, and we actually have that confirmed from people who have actually met him today. Go ahead, Culture.
Mon Mothma?
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. When did Luke become a alt goth lesbian?
I'm not quite sure what happened to the casting assignment here. His wig is just maybe a little bit too dark there, or perhaps it's the bad lighting.
He's wigging out,
and just doesn't quite embody the Luke Skywalker that I remember.
Yeah, they made him do the salute, so at least they've seen Return of the Jedi.
There you go, right there. And so it would indeed appear that is the actor that they will be using, at least for some of them. We actually have some more video featuring another actor that will be playing Luke Skywalker in the parks as well.
Oh my god!
Right here,
he looks like Ezra Miller.
Yeah, I've been seeing that one a lot online.
Yeah, this is Luke right here, and I mean. I don't know if it's a completely convincing portrayal of Luke Skywalker right there, but you can see he's meeting around with R2, which is actually a nice touch right there, and I guess help signify his presence in the park amongst fans and so forth. You can see right here, this is from laughingplace.com. I believe this is yes, I think this is the same actor as before right there, which is very interesting.
He looks younger than Luke Skywalker in A New Hope.
That's a good observation right there.
They're doing this Wild West nonsense again, where they just have them walking around, which just causes traffic jams. It causes fights. It causes upset kids. This is nonsense. Why do they keep doing this?
It doesn't in Disneyland.
Yeah, that's
it did with Ahsoka. Ahsoka, they got like Walt Disney World people when Ahsoka showed up.
That's weird.
Interesting. These, at least at Disneyland, because of the local annual pass holder population, because people go there so frequently, they don't necessarily crowd around these characters to the same degree that maybe you might have experienced at Walt Disney World. Which, by the way, we're actually hearing that more roaming characters will be part of Walt Disney World going forward. But go ahead, Culture.
No, that's the thing is like the problem is they've discovered that you build Princess Fairy Tale Hall, you destroy capacity because it just doesn't have any line anymore, and took out 2 attractions in a shop, so that was a bad choice. And the having them roam around and have a handler and have the handler kind of guide the people into a line, it works very well in California. I think they could bring that behavior into Florida.
In Galaxy's Edge, they don't put people in a line. Mando gets a mosh pit around him in Galaxy's Edge
because you have poor handlers. But yeah.
I agree though. Like I like the idea of characters walking around the park. I understand that it's a logistical issue on some level, but it's if it's that or a line, like it's an event or an attraction, I hate it. I hate Disney checking the box that, oh, we've got more things because they put a meet and greet on the map.
I'm telling you, the Princess Fairy Tale Hall or whatever the heck that thing was when New Fantasyland came out, I'm like, that's going to be empty in a year. And it was.
I also wonder if they're doing roaming characters on the idea of doing the BDX droids as well sometime later on. If they
you
ever
just like
decide
saying BDX droids?
No, I'm trying to figure out what Disney's doing with those droids because they don't scale. And I don't think that's a technology that's going to be viable for the parks for a very long time, if at all. But
I think you're right.
I could see them using them in like shows and stuff like that, but not walking around the parks.
Yeah.
But like, I'm glad this works at Disneyland. But the point I'm making, it does not work in Walt Disney World, and they try to do it.
Yeah.
And like I saw one time Rapunzel was walking around Fantasyland, and I was like, oh, that's cool. A mob formed. It's Walt Disney World. People have no chill whatsoever when it comes to characters. None.
And that's why the operations have differed slightly between resorts because of that reason. Because you have characters like Mary Poppins, for example, and Bert. You have characters like Aladdin, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, the Mad Hatter. They've walked around numerous areas of Fantasyland for years, decades, actually. And so, yeah, that degree of chill that you talk about, Marvin, definitely lacking over there at Walt Disney World. But apparently they're going to have more roaming characters. Go ahead.
If the evil queen ever walked around Fantasyland the way she does at Disneyland, people would be trampled.
Yeah. Yep. Most likely right there. That's why you have to have really good handlers if you're going to do that, if you're doing it at all. Now, what's interesting here, too, is that they did show off some more video of the, the Fire of the Rising Moons?
Yeah, I think this
Fireworks
one is
display
a
there.
Fire of the Rising Moons, but then they added a subtitle to it, which, of course, Disney does as well.
The Force
Shadows of Memory, I guess.
How does this fit in with the story?
Hello there, VashSky in editing. I wanted to go ahead and include this. Jonas and I were a little bit confused on this point. I just want to go ahead and clarify this. The Shadows of Memory Skywalker Saga show that you can see on screen right now is actually a separate projection show from the Fire of the Rising Moons fireworks partner show, I guess, with the nightly fireworks display at Disneyland. So for those that don't know, the Fire of the Rising Moons is a complementing show to the already playing fireworks program at Disneyland. So while the fireworks are going off, you would see projections of, let's say, Mickey's Mixed Magic. And then in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, you wouldn't see Mickey's Mixed Magic at all. Instead, you would see lights on the spires in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, along with music that would play from the original, sequel, and prequel trilogies. It's actually pretty cool. It's a pretty awesome thing. This is in addition to that. So this is a completely separate show, and you can actually see that right here on the Disneyland app. These are some screenshots I took earlier in the week, and you can see right here you have both fireworks and projection shows listed as separate programs, and you can see right here Shadows of Memory, a Skywalker Saga plays 2 times a night, at least on this screenshot here, 8:30 and 10:15. And then you can see right here, Fire of the Rising Moons on the same night plays at 9:30. So just want to go ahead and clarify that for people. This was a point that we were kind of going back and forth on, and I wanted to go ahead and correct the record. Now, back to the show.
It's the tale of the Skywalkers, which they don't generally tell.
Yeah.
But how does that fit in with the slavish story that they stick to at Galaxy's Edge, that they never deviate from for anything?
So
this is there's a storyteller, right? There's a storytelling droid. That's their excuse to do whatever they want here.
Yeah. Which I don't know, just break away, guys. You don't have to do the setups and so forth and do the storytellers and all that. It's just play the show. Have the characters out. Have the music playing. But for some reason, like you said, Marvin, this slavish, defiant sticking with the timeline. It's just it really kills the magic right there, which is really unfortunate. But at least these images actually look decent. We're gonna have to actually see these with the human eye, because some photography it can illuminate more than maybe what is present right there. But actually looks pretty good. We'll have to see on this, especially with the incorporation of fireworks. I think it'll look a lot better. Which I got to be honest, Fire the Rising Moons, back when I was at Disneyland in December, was actually one of the best experiences I've had in Disney Park in a long, long time. So we'll see on that. However, there was also the debut of a popcorn bucket. Why am I bringing this up? Because people went absolutely nuts for this Death Star popcorn bucket today. You can see right here, this was the line for the popcorn bucket over there at the Tomorrowland popcorn stand right there. And you can see that's the Death Star popcorn bucket that everybody was waiting for. So, for as ridiculous as some of the tactics used by the Disney parks in order to elicit more sales for merchandise and so forth, at least on this level, it actually works, which is...
Were they limiting how many people could buy? Because I remember when the Figment popcorn bucket came out, people were in line for hours, and then you'd see some lady walk by and she's literally got 7 popcorn buckets hanging off of her, and you're like, you're the scum of the earth, lady.
Well, the other one about this one is the Figment one. I don't think there's any electronics in it. With this one, they have to have a battery compartment.
Well, this is a response to Universal's popcorn buckets, because they are far superior. They all do things like the toothless one, the wings flap and the eyes glow in the dark, and they have the Chucky one that you could actually talk to, that I actually just picked up in the annual pass holder shop at Universal Studios for $8 because it was on clearance. But they all have interactive features and Disney's don't. So I guess they're finally trying to step it up.
Yep. And I also, Vash, I will see your popcorn bucket of the Death Star, and I'm going to lower, though this is not how poker works, but I want to point out the Star Wars merch that they just revealed. Using all these young models. I love how Disney Consumer Products is so close and yet so far away. This is the annualized May the 4th be with you merchandise that they just put out. And I couldn't even imagine a Star Wars fan wearing anything like this in 1977 here.
Or now.
Yeah, I totally agree. By the last time I went into that Star Wars store in Disney Springs, not the official where they sell toys Star Wars store, but the one where they sell like clothes and merchandise, all of that was femme stuff. It was all girl merchandise at Star Wars. I would argue this shirt is also girl merchandise. I think that's probably a male model, but there's not much here that actually looks like it would appeal to a Star Wars fan. It just happens to check the box. It's Star Wars merchandise.
Will they sell it in Galaxy's Edge is the question, because in Galaxy's Edge, notoriously, they don't sell anything that has the words Star Wars on it, because that's would break that, because Star Wars doesn't exist on Batuu, because you're living in it.
This is the dumbest land I have ever heard of.
It's terrible.
There's some B-roll that I have that I'll have to include as a clip later here that shows there's like this series of like string of merchandise carts that they positioned just outside the border of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge that actually sells Star Wars merchandise that people might be interested in, but they have to hold it back outside the land. They can't sell it in the land. They got to hold it out before it in this kind of very tacky way, because they're so dead set on this merchandise being, at least the merchandise featured in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge being timeline specific and so forth.
Yep. So I guess in the end, my question to all of you is: Are you guys excited about meeting the Sith version of Mon Mothma at Galaxy's Edge? Or would you pay for the limited time event in order to meet this young man dressed as almost Mon Mothma?
Yeah, I was excited about Luke being inside, but now that I see the casting, and especially with Hollywood across the way right there, you would have thought that, I don't know, they would have widened out that casting call to include maybe somebody who vaguely looked like Luke, but c'est la vie.
This looks like a less feminine Harry Sisson.
How do they justify Luke's existence there with the stupid story that they have to adhere to?
They're shifting to the Mandalorian era. That's the only thing right there. Which, of course, they're going to have
Rise of the Resistance, and Rey is still running around. I'm sure.
Right. Inside of the ride, at least. The whole thing. I mean, Hondo Ohnaka is apparently 300 years old or something by the time that they get to.
You have like this really rudimentary thought about aging. See, you need to broaden your horizon. In Star Wars, if you're an important character, you don't age
ever.
Well, yeah, because Ahsoka, obviously. That's a better look, by the way.
Baby.
It's a little reply by mail there for you.
I love reply by mail. Mr. Blue Sky for $10 completely agree regarding Fire of the Rising Moon. Just saw it for the first time a few weeks ago, and it was great. Wish they could put a sliver of effort like this to other things. You're hearing actual Star Wars music in the Star Wars land, which I'm going to say helps to sell the fact that it is Star Wars land, as opposed to the zero ambience. No, it's immersion, whatever.
That's what people want. They don't want Star Wars. They want to be in Star Wars.
Exactly. It's one thing that kept Cinderella outside of the princess table at Akershus. Like, well, who's at Cinderella Castle? No one in Akershus at Epcot cares if Cinderella is at Cinderella Castle. Put her in the princess breakfast.
Well, remember when the story when Michael Eisner first walked through Epcot when he took over as CEO, his first visit to the parks. He said, "Where's Mickey?" And they were like, "Oh, well, Mickey lives in the Magic Kingdom, and this is Epcot. You know, Mickey's not here." And Michael Eisner said, "Yeah, no, that's dumb. Get Mickey over here right now." And that was how Mickey and Friends came to Epcot, because originally they were like, "No, he's just Magic Kingdom."
Well, without those characters, without that music, it really is just war-torn Tunisia now, isn't it, Jonas?
It really is. It is an outdoor market. Karen Owen, member for 13. Will Luke be telling fans he and R2 are there in Batu land looking for Grogu? What a sentence, Karen. In the strict timeline, isn't he dead on the island?
On the strict timeline, yes.
Dude, he died from forcing too hard. That's like Elvis dying on the toilet. I'm so sick of that.
Exactly, Elvis dying on the toilet.
Yeah. Still upset about that. Stupid. This is not Star Wars. It's Stupid Wars.
It makes no sense. It does make no sense for Rey to be around and for everything to be resolved at the end of The Last Jedi, where he died. Of course, they don't know that he died. But yeah, if this is supposed to be the Mando timeline, which is before The Force Awakens, there's no reason for Rey to be there. So that's as close as we get to erasure of the sequel trilogy. They'll start at the parks and hopefully work their way backwards. Thank you very much, Karen Owen.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.